Okay, and I'm just waiting for notifications there. All right. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this incredible afternoon. We have a wonderful guest with us today, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Brother Lamond Muhammad out of Philadelphia. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And on behalf of myself, my family, of the People's Podcast, we want to just thank you and thank you. We look forward to this conversation that we're about to have today, sir. The first question, my sister says, "Assalamu alaikum, family." Alaikum salam, ma'am. Okay, the first question that we have for you, Brother Lamond, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, that's a great question. And first, before I open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Allah, Master Father Muhammad, for raising the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is exalted and rich in Christ. And we thank him for the Jesus, the Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on this great podcast. I don't see many powerful people on here. I seen you had Dr. Umar on here, seen you had Joshua Farrakhan on here. Been so many powerhouses, and I'm honored to be on this platform. And on behalf of my family, thank Allah for you and your beautiful family, your beloved mother. May Allah forever be pleased with her. And thank Allah for your beautiful father. But I started as a college student. I was blessed to go to Temple University, where I received a full athletic scholarship to play football at Temple University. And being an all-state basketball player and an all-state football player, I was blessed to get a scholarship to go to Temple University. After I walked on to the basketball team. But me and this young man that I played football with, he has his own organization now. His name is Dr. Ali. But after I graduated, we began to live together. And around October 2000, I was struggling. I didn't go to the NFL, dealing with, thinking you're going to the next level. So I was searching, I come up in the church, but I knew it was a lot of things in the church that I really didn't understand and didn't agree with. So what happened was this brother that I was living with, that I played football with, all of a sudden, he was up all night long with dictionaries and thesauruses and lectures in the minister. And I seen a complete transformation in this brother. So I started going out to the mosque. So I started going out in early 2000, around the summer of 2000. Going to the mosque. I had been going out. Matter of fact, I had been going out between 1999 and 2000. I was going out to the mosque for a whole year before I joined. I would go every Sunday. I had read Message to the Black Man cover to cover before I joined. So being an intellectual, being an educator, I had a strong base, but I just wasn't ready to adhere to the discipline. So I was coming out every Sunday, listening to lectures. And then finally in October of 2000, I got the courage to accept the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I thank Allah for that brother, Dr. Ali Muhammad, and his example, because he, me and him used to wild out, if you will. We did some crazy stuff on Temple University campus. So to see him, the transformation in him attracted me to want to go see what was it that transformed this man's life. And it was attractive to me. And I've been with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam ever since.
All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And my sister Naima sends the greetings, and people are showing you love all across the country. Thank you all. Please let us know what city you all are in and watching. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, Lamond, speaking of HBCUs and football, primetime Deion Sanders is trending constantly. And as someone who played football in high school, I never played in the collegiate level. Is there a need for like Black coaches at HBCUs, in your opinion, or do you think that they're needed everywhere?
Well, I think it's needed. The market in the HBCU market isn't as big as the regular white privilege markets, but there's a need for Black football coaches all across this country. We see it in the NFL, it's very minimal. And a lot of people are upset. And I was talking to a brother today, and he was upset saying that, Deion, Coach Prime, if you will, he said that God had showed him, well, he heard God's voice. That's why he went to Jackson. And I said to the brother, I think a lot of times, Brother Joshua, we get caught up and not understanding that football is a business. Once you reach into the collegiate level in the NFL, it's a business, it's a sport, but it's a business. And Brother Deion, Brother Coach Prime transformed Jackson, Mississippi with his demeanor, with his attracting power, with his charisma. But you and I, neither of us know what was Deion's, Coach Prime's intention for going there. And he may have felt that he fulfilled his goal by what he did with a 12-0 season and revolutionizing college football on the HBCU level. And he said it wasn't about the bag. And I don't think it was totally about the bag. But you and I both know that the more money you have, the more effective you can be in your craft. And obviously, Jackson couldn't pay him what Colorado could pay him. And the conference, the SWAC conference, probably doesn't make as much money as the Big 12 conference. So with his charisma, people say, oh, he a coon, he shouldn't have left. Well, I wouldn't say he is a coon, because you and I both don't know what his intention was for going there. And a brother said this that was real key, is that Brother Coach Prime didn't have to go to Jackson. He went there and accepted it because he loved his people. Because when they offered him the position, he didn't have to accept it. So the fact that he stayed there 2 years, I already know that once he started talking about he's going to explore options, sometimes people could give you an offer that you can't refuse. And a lot of times, me as an educator, I've taken jobs that's less qualified than what I make. Brother Joshua, I've been blessed by Allah to have 3 master's degrees. The only higher degree that they have in the white man's educational field is a doctorate degree. I have my master's degree in elementary education. I have my master's degree in early childhood education, and I have my master's degree in educational leadership. So when I come to the table, I'm looking for something. And if you can't pay me what I'm worth, I'm not being arrogant, but I've taken jobs that was less than what I'm qualified to make. So now if you come to the table and offer me something, and I've been at an institution now, and you weren't able to pay me, and somebody can come along and pay me what I'm qualified to make, that can help me be a better provider and maintainer for my family, I'll be a fool not to take it. So you and I don't know what Colorado offered him that Jackson couldn't offer him. You see what I'm saying? So I don't see him as a cool. I understand, and I'm hurt from this standpoint for the young men, because it was a lot of young men that came to Jackson because of him. And now they probably going to be lost and discombobulated a little bit because he's no longer there. That aspect of it, that's part of the business aspect of it. And that's the unfortunate thing, that you build relationships with people, but sometimes it was a business move. I don't think he hurting for no money, because he played in the NFL and the national and the Major League Baseball. I don't think it's about the bag, but I think it's about using the resources to be more effective at his craft.
Excellent response, sir. Thank you very much. My sister Miriam agrees. She's a big Coach Prime fan. I'm a Deion Sanders fan, from his playing. My sisters recently became fans of his tenure at Jackson State. They said absolutely, and we don't appreciate on the way we should. We don't know how he was treated by the administration, but behind closed doors. Sister Naima says so true. Beautiful. Thank you all, sisters, for supporting Jackson State. My question for you, sir, is, Brother Mom, what position did you play in football?
Well, I was my first year I redshirted. So I played a defensive, I played a cornerback. At that time, I was about 5'9", 190, around 200 pounds, but we were in the Big East. So we played against Miami, we played against Boston College, and I redshirted my first year. But I really was one of the top defensive backs in the Big East Conference. I played against Reggie Wayne. I played against Reggie. I was blessed to pick off Donovan McNabb in college when he was at Syracuse. So I was able to hold my own. The only thing about me was I wasn't fast. I was more quick. And with my size, they want you to be able to run a 4.3 40 or 4.4. And I wasn't that fast, but I was able to cover with the best of them. And then we weren't, Temple football program isn't what it is today. We weren't winning a lot of games. A lot of times we got out-coached. So because of our reputation of losing, we really didn't have a lot of scouts come out. And then my senior year, we had a whole new coaching staff come take over Temple from Northern Alabama. And unfortunately, when a new coaching staff comes on, they really don't have an affinity for the players that have been there from a prior administration. So they're looking to build the program and take the program in another direction based on the people that they recruited. So, but it was a blessing. We went into my senior year, Virginia Tech University, where Michael Vick went to school at.
Yes,
they
sir.
were ranked 10th in the country. In little old Temple, we went down to Blacksburg, Virginia, and we beat 10th ranked Virginia Tech, one of the greatest upsets in college football history. We were a 35 to 42 point underdog, and we went into Blacksburg, Virginia, and beat 10th ranked Virginia Tech 28 to 24. So, I've been blessed to accomplish some things. I didn't go to the NFL, but hey, I got a degree for free, and nobody can take that away from me. I didn't pay a dime. I went to school for free on an athletic scholarship, and you and I both know how much college education costs. So
I'm aware.
I see that as a blessing.
That's a big blessing, sir, and congratulations, sir. And brother Chris Muhammad says he's on, brother Josh. Thank you, brother Chris. Brother Troy says ASA family, top of the clock. And thank you all for watching, for representing for the top of the clock as well. All right, my next question for you, sir, is once you joined and accepted the teachings of Most High Elijah Muhammad, how did your family and friends feel with your decision?
Well, I mean, it was challenging because I, like most, went a little crazy. Once I got indoctrinated with the teachings, I wanted to try to, get my mother and them involved, and they were still struggling with the diet and all that. But I think, when you first come in, you're zealot. You need balance, and I didn't have that balance. And over a protracted period of time, getting married, and then maturing in the word and how to deliver that word, but more importantly, my example. I think, sometimes your parents or your family look at you and say, oh, he just in that, he ain't gonna be in that long. He probably be in that for a year, and then he'll fall out. But the consistency of me being in it, and my family knowing, I went through a time, Brother Joshua, where I was unemployed for about 2 to 3 years. And my aunt told my mother, reason why he ain't got no job, because on his resume, he got that Muhammad on his resume. You better tell him to go back to his slave name. So my mother said, that boy ain't doing that. I would never say that to him. And I told my mom, I said, if they don't want Muhammad, they don't want me. I'm not going back to my slave name. My name is Muhammad. But now my mom, a couple of years ago, my whole family came to the mosque to hear me teach a lecture. They respect my work. They see me as a student in the ministry. They see me traveling around. One of my sisters said something to me, Brother Joshua, that was astonishing. And my sister's an educator. She's a principal, and I have a very close relationship with my family. And she said this to me and almost floored me. She said, Brother Lamond, we love you. And she said, sometimes we see you out here teaching, and you all in the neighborhood, and you teaching at this school, you teaching at this place, and we want you to spend more time with us. But she said, I realized that you were born into the world to be shared with others. She said, I realized that you're not just our brother. God gave you a specific spirit and assignment, and we have to share you with other people. And that kind of floored me, because she was getting on me like, we be having these family events and you don't come out. And a lot of times it ain't an excuse. You be so focused on trying to get after our people and help the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. But I have improved on that. I make sure I spend time with my family and go to events. This Friday was my birthday by Allah's grace, and I went, and we had dinner together. So I try to make time, to be around your family, because I remember student minister Ava, may Allah forever be pleased with her, said in the guide to the ministry from the minister that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know what I mean? So you can have all this wealth of knowledge, but people looking at your character. You know what I mean? And a lot of us got great knowledge, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said character is the sea that knowledge floats on. We got a lot of brilliant people out there, but what is your character? Because that's what magnetically attracts people. We just had Minister Nori today. And not only is Minister Nori a beautiful human being, a handsome man, and a profound teacher, but his character, his ability to magnetize people based on his character. You know what I mean? So, you know, they receptive to it now. One time my mom came up and Minister Rodney was teaching and she walked up and accepted. I don't know if she realized what she was doing, but when they called for acceptances, I came in from outside and she was in the acceptance line. You know, so they respect Islam as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they know they make jokes. They say, well, if we have an event, as long as Minister Farrakhan ain't nowhere around, he might be coming. But they said if the minister around, we know we ain't gonna see him. We know we ain't gonna see him. You know what I mean? But over a protracted period of time, Brother Joshua, they receptive and they respect my walk. And it's not me trying to convert them. If anything, my example and how I deal with people, I try to win them over that way.
Beautiful. All phrases to that. Excellent. And by the student minister, Lamond, let's make sure that we do that as well. And my sister Naima says that man. So we have so many questions about education, your advice to athletes, and a lot of more questions coming up. Sister Kareem is in the comments saying facts, praise be to Allah. And I want to make sure that we have a quick 60 seconds commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast, and then we're coming right back to our brother student minister Lamond out of Philadelphia. 1 second, here we go. Boom.
Brother Rashad Street Premiere. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him if you need any of those services. Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta, Georgia. Rock Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy, editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Rock Communications. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad's Conflict Mediation, squashing the beast throughout the Southwest region. He does a phenomenal job. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad's Giving Birth to a God and the Science of Child Rearing. Please make sure you go out and get a copy of her book as well. Fashion Gods, urban streetwear clothing for men and boys. 314-329-6009. He'll keep you dressed in the best of fashion. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Taj Hollywood's Chemistry 6 episode, a new television series out on YouTube. He's looking for actors and writers. Make sure you support him. Keep It Hood, helping others overcome depression. Also by Taj Hollywood. Brother Aaron's Elevated Places, stress management, real estate, credit, repair, and restoration. His Respect for Life Center. They do personal wellness, philosophy, emotional, and mental spiritual wellness. 229-344-1474. Dr. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon.
Okay, perfect. And thank you everyone who's in the comments showing love. And thank you again. We're right back to our brother student minister Lamond out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, great. My next question for you, sir, is speaking and being in Philadelphia, we want to talk about your Stop the Killing tour But as someone who I've been to Philly before, but as a fan of music, particularly rap music, Philadelphia is like the mean streets, Philly, this, and that. Have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
Well, Brother Joshua, it's very interesting that you asked that question. I've been an educator in the city of Philadelphia for over 20 plus years. And I've been at some of the roughest schools in the city. And some of the schools, some of the children were so off the chain that we were allowed to restrain them. But this school that I was at this year, two young men got into a fight, and I had to take the young man in because I'm a climate manager, so I'm in charge of discipline. I'm an administrator. I'm in charge of discipline, bullying, making sure people ain't bullying, making sure the whole environment of the school is safe. So this particular young man got in a fight outside of the school. Now, mind you, the school that I work at is in West Philadelphia. We right in the hood. They sell drugs, it's gun violence, it's prostitution. So the school is right in the middle of the hood. So after this young man, I de-escalated him. I told him to go home. But he wound up getting into a fight with two brothers. He wound up sucker punching the wrong brother. So me and his mom got on the phone, and his mom was trying to talk over me. So I said, well, sister, I see you not allowing me to explain to you what happened. I'm going to remove myself from the conversation, because what I find out in the educational field, Brother Joshua, the reason why I stay is because the educational field is dominated by white women and Black women. There's not a lot of Black men in education. And if you have the spirit of an alpha male, which I know I have, then you become a threat to the white power structure. And not only do white females fear you, then you have your own sisters, because they haven't been trained in the MGT to how to handle the Black man. So when most women control their men, most of our women make more money than the average man. So they believe because they make more money than the man, they can talk to him and treat him any old kind of way. So to make a long story short, this mother came up to the school and we were about to have a fire drill. And when we were about to have the fire drill, the mother saw me and she told her man, there go Mr. Muhammad, he disrespected me. So I came to the front, but I seen the brother wanted to be aggressive. So I said, well, how am I gonna deal with this? So we did the fire drill. We went around, I secured the perimeter. And as we came around, I got one of my homies from Temple. I seen him up the street and he was with the mother. So I tapped my homie, I said, walk up the street with me. So as we walked up the street, Brother Joshua, this man ran up in my personal space. It took everything within my power not for me to smash him. So the whole school was outside. They're like, no, Mr. Muhammad, no. So he yelling and screaming. Mind you, he got teardrops on his face, so you could tell he from the streets. He young brother. So they broke it up. So I'm walking to go back in the building. He tries to run up on me. And when the man ran up on me, he had a loaded gun on him. The gun fell to the ground. My man from Philly that I went to college with grabbed the gun and put it in the jacket, and they brought me in the building. So I say that to say that we fear nothing but Allah. I didn't know the man had a gun on him, but I believe in Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, and I believe that if you have a weapon on you, that if we're not the aggressor, that he will bless us to take. Now, this man's supposed to be a gangster. What kind of gangster are you? You don't know you got a gun on you. I don't have no weapon. So what would make you as a parent run up on me with a weapon? And do you really believe that you think you're going to kill me and get away with that? So this is the kind of ignorance we deal with in the educational field, because a lot of the parents are trying to be their children's friend instead of nurturing and cultivating them. But what would make you come up to a school with a loaded gun? But that's the mindset in Philadelphia. And that's why I've been so adamant, and my brother Chris and brother Leroy been with me. We've been so adamant about going in the street, because the minister said that if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, Muhammad gotta go to the mountain.
Yes,
so everybody, Brother Joshua, ain't coming to the mosque. So if they not coming to the mosque, then we got to set up a beachhead behind enemy lines. And that's what we've been doing, because my ultimate objective is to try to reach that cold-hearted brother where we don't get a call that a believer's niece or nephew or uncle got gunned down because we ain't out here. Can we stop everything? No. But damn it, we should be breaking our neck to try and the effect we have when they see us. People got respect for us, and people know if they pull a gun out on us, they know it's consequences of it. And I'm pretty sure after he did it, he reflected upon it like, damn, his name Muhammad. I wonder if he with them. Yeah, you don't think about it initially, but after a while, he probably did think about it like, damn, he do got a name Muhammad. I wonder if he with Farrakhan. Yeah, you make mistakes, and a lot of us, I got people in the city that love me. That ain't about nothing to get on the phone and make a phone call, but to try to deal with our people in a civilized way. You know what I mean? I didn't know, and you just got to challenge your fear. I didn't know what he had on him, but again, he ran up on me. And my initial instance, for Allah be my witness, when he ran up on me, I was ready to get busy, but I had to think, hold your position, and all you got to do is swing. And then once you swing, then I do what I need to do. But that, I had to challenge that fear, because I don't like nobody in my personal space. And, it took everything within my power to use intelligence. And the whole school was out there. The school that I'm at is from kindergarten to 8th grade. So the whole school was out there. You know what I mean? But, that was one particular instance recently. But again, we always face with that when we out in the street, because sometimes we got a lot of people that love us, and then we got a lot of haters. So, you got to be in Philadelphia, you have a large influx Orthodox Islam community. A lot of them started out with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when Imam Wharf-Din Muhammad, may Allah forever be pleased with him, took over the nation and took us into Islam Orthodoxy, a lot of the people that went with him hate Master Fard Muhammad, they hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they don't see us as real Muslims. So a lot of times, then you got a different element, a Salafi Islamic element here, where they're very extreme, you know what I mean, and their understanding of the Prophet. So, with all of the gun violence, then the sad part about it, Brother Joshua, is a lot of the killings that's going on in this city is by so-called Muslims. So you got a thobe on, you got a beard, but you out here selling dope. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that go on in this city, and that's my motivation, to try to help to stop whatever we can stop. We can't stop everything, but we're trying to appeal to the people, because you got a lot of the politicians and the average people calling for the National Guard to come in this city because the gun violence is so bad.
Excellent. All praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And brother, student minister Lamond, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank Allah for your sacrifice, sir, and the sacrifices of your family as well. Keep holding it down. I have a follow-up question that I ask most of the people in the comments showing you love, saying teach. My sister Naima, brother Celestine. Let's keep up the wonderful interview, brother Joshua. Love you, Sister Celestine, and Sister Kareem. Okay, boom, beautiful. My question for you, sir, is my mentors, a lot of my mentors teach in the inner city of Atlanta. I'm in school for education. I'm going to be a teacher as well, sir. And in Chicago, the principals of schools, they're teachers, but everybody seems to work in the inner city. Now, I have more of a Coach Prime, Deion Sanders thinking, where it's like, why wouldn't I just go teach at a school somewhere where it's less violent? Just go to the nicer, offer. What makes you stay in the inner city as opposed to going to East Philadelphia, I guess North Philadelphia, somewhere else, as opposed to West Philadelphia, born and raised? What makes you stay in that area as opposed to going to the safer area?
That's a great question. Well, the suburbs, they got Lower Marion. It's some suburban areas around. Okay. But to me, the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, being able to effectively deal with our people, and realizing that it's easy to go to the suburbs where everybody have the resources. And, to be quite honest with you, if I was at a school and wasn't no drama, I probably would lose my mind. I like all the drama, because it gives me an opportunity now to use what I've been taught in the proper handling of people, conflict resolution, mediation, squashing beefs, winning people over. So even when the people found out about what happened with me and this brother, a lot of the parents were saying, man, that ain't something must have happened. Mr. Muhammad don't react like that. Because a lot of people come to the school with hostility, and with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the proper handling of people, I know how to handle them. And what happened was, I was in the interview for the job. I was working in Newark, New Jersey, because I'm originally from North Jersey, but I've been in Philadelphia for 20 years. So I'm a Philadelphian now. I've been here over 20 years. But as they were interviewing me, the sister said, if he worked up there, you better hire Mr. Muhammad. And she told the lady, and the white lady, I have a white principal, but she respect my leadership. Anything that's going on with climate, culture, safety, don't nothing go on in that building without her checking with me as far as climate and culture. And when I walk in the building, if there's a mediation or a beef with a parent, the other day I was a little late. As soon as I walked in the building and clocked in, she said, Mr. Muhammad, it's an issue in there I need you to deal with, because she knew she couldn't deal with it. So the reality of it is this, that everything that we have been given, when you're working in the inner city and working in the urban area, I'm pretty sure I'll be effective in the suburbs, but that's easy work. I want to be where our people is. Like Minister Nori, we want to change hell into heaven. So we want to be in the hoods where it's gun violence and where it's drugs and it's prostitution, where there ain't no parent participation. Because if you can effectively navigate in that area and transform the lives of those children, I walked through the hallway, and one of the brothers in Chester, he said, Brother Lamond, I know these children love you. Every neighborhood we go in the call out, Allah be my witness, no matter what part of the city we in, somebody yell out, Mr. Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad, and they run up and hug me. That's the kind of effect that I've had on these people, on these children, from the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it's a great honor to work in the hood. That's easy work in the suburbs. Anybody could work in the suburbs, but the work in the urban area where our people are off the chain and crazy as hell, and the duty of the civilized is to teach the uncivilized, then I'm right where I'm supposed to be, by Allah's grace and mercy.
Excellent. All praise to Allah. We commend you for the work that you're doing. And hey, our brother Nelson Ramos says, Assalamu alaikum, showing love from Massachusetts. Thank you very much, sir. And Sister Kishay Chandra, HK, thank you for showing love as well. Thank you, everybody who continues to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. Okay, so yes, sir. So, by Minister Lamond, my next question for you is your greatest trial in life. What has that been, and how have you been able to overcome that, sir?
Wow, that's a great question. So it's been a couple of them, one, when I've been married now for 20 years to my beautiful wife. And in 2002, we were coming from the mosque, and we were in a car accident where 2005, and we were in a car accident. And in that car accident, a car ran us off the road, Brother Joshua. So it was the west side of the highway and the east side of the highway. When the car ran us off the road, the car went into a ditch, and it flipped from the west side of the highway all the way across the highway to the east side of the highway. Flipped upside down, and then it finally turned over. My wife had a cracked rib. They had to be flown to the hospital. I had to go to the hospital. The vehicle was totaled. That was one of the trials. But one of the greatest trials, two of the greatest trials of me with all of this education, after President Barack Obama got elected, I went almost a year and a half to 2 years without working. Couldn't find a job, which is great trial for a man, because being a provider, being a maintainer, being a go-getter, even though you're able to collect unemployment, you only receive 30 to 40% of your salary. So that, and then the latest trial, which was my greatest trial, when I thank Allah for, my wife, we had come back from Orlando, Florida for her birthday. And I was working 2 full-time jobs. I never knew nothing about diabetes. And we came back from Orlando, Florida, and my wife was getting on me because we was down in Florida, and we was at Universal Studios, and we was trying to get on these rides, but I was having these problems. I kept going to the bathroom. I was stuffed. I'm like, damn, what's wrong with me? So I got home, I didn't feel well, I had pneumonia. And my wife was like, you ain't going to none of those jobs today, you staying home. But as I stayed home, I was in bad shape, Brother Joshua. I didn't know what was wrong. So I was calling out to Allah, Master Farrakhan Muhammad. I was home by myself. My wife finally came in, and she called the ambulance. And to tell you how much bad shape I was in, brother, all I remember is walking outside. And when they took me to the ambulance, I had 1,040 blood sugar, Brother Joshua. Your average blood sugar is supposed to be anywhere from 100 to 130. So I had a blood sugar of 1,040. I had pneumonia. My kidneys was failing. I was in ICU for 7 days. I had gained, I was at 255 pounds. I had never been that big, and I really was dying. And I thank Allah for my wife that she called the ambulance. And as I was in there for 7 days and on dialysis, I said, oh, you got to get back to How to Eat to Live. And by getting back on it, by fasting, but I will wake up every morning, Brother Lamond, you a God, you can beat this. Brother Lamond, you a God, you created in the image and likeness of God, you can beat this. So when the nurses would come in to draw blood at 6 o'clock in the morning, I already would be up saying my prayer and thinking about what I was going to do. And I told my parents, because I didn't really want to eat the hospital food. I didn't have an appetite, but I knew my healing would take place when I got home. And when I got home, I began to fast and eat 1 meal a day like I know I should have, and got back on How to Eat to Live. And by Allah's grace and mercy, I just recently went to the hospital. And your A1C level, which measures your sugar intake. When I initially went in the hospital, my A1C level was 9.9. Your average A1C level is supposed to be 5.4. It was 9.9. So recently, it dropped all the way down. She said, well, last time you was here, we want to see if it was a fluke. And just recently, about a month ago, they took my blood, the A1C level, and by Allah's grace and mercy, it was a 5.4. So, and the lady called me months ago, and she told me, Mr. Muhammad, your blood work looks as though you never had diabetes. So my life bears witness to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that diabetes can be cured through fasting. He said 90% of our illnesses can be cured through fasting and pushing ourselves away from the table and eating at the proper time. And by Allah's grace and mercy, I just turned 46, but 46 didn't look like I was going to make it, Brother Joshua. And I'm thankful. As I reflect, we have lost a lot of great men and women over the last 2 years. And I'm fortunate and thankful that Allah blessed me to come through it, because diabetes ain't nothing, ain't no joke. If you don't take care of it and handle it properly, it can check you out of here. It check Biz Markie out of here. So sometimes people get diabetes and they don't take it seriously, and they don't check their sugar, and they don't change their diet, and they continue eating, their regular way. And if you don't get a hold of it, you know what I mean? Because that thing can really take you out of here. So I'm thankful that Allah blessed me. And, I'm back on the battlefield, and I'm feeling well by Allah's grace and mercy, and feeling healthy. Still got some things to do as far as sometimes I walk a mile. I'm going to go walk maybe 2 to 3 miles today after we get off the podcast. I'm not trying to, what hurt me when I was in the hospital, I had to look myself in the mirror, Brother Joshua. I said, damn, how did you allow yourself to get like this? And honestly, chasing the bag. And Dr. Wesley talked about it, Student Minister Dr. Wesley. We could chasing the bag, but not lose discipline in sight of what you need to accomplish. You know what I mean? It's not nothing wrong with chasing the bag, but just chasing the bag and letting your whole discipline go down. I know better, but over the COVID, got off my discipline, and eating times, that I shouldn't been. And I suffered from it. There's I think the greatest thing we do, we got to be honest with myself and honest with ourselves. I had to look myself in the mirror and say, I caused this myself. Now, if I cause my own demise, then that means I can cause my own healing too. So I knew by fasting and getting to that prescription of how to eat to live, that Allah would bless me. And he has blessed me to recover.
Oh, praise to so Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. My sister Miriam says all praises to Allah, and Sister Kareem says Allah is the most merciful. Absolutely. Thank you all for watching, and people continue to show love all across the country. Okay, yes, sir. So you spoke about your greatest trial, Brother Minister. Now we want to hear about your greatest joy in life. What has that been?
Well, my greatest joy in life is being able to stay around and see my grandchildren, my niece, and spend time with my family. But most of all, my greatest joy was seeing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and meeting him. When I first came in the nation, a lot of people trusted me with their children. So when I immediately joined I joined at the time when we had junior FOI and junior MGT camps.
Yes,
and
sir. Yes, sir.
The year we were at a cabin in Chicago, and we were responsible for driving the junior FOI to Chicago. And we were there, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan daughters was there, and brother Elijah Farrakhan was there. He was a lot younger then. This was in June 19th of 2001. So they told us the minister was coming up to the cabin, and the minister came, and we was able to greet him and hug him. And that was one of the greatest joys of my life, being able to hug the man that's been responsible for my transformation in my life, and giving me the inspiration and motivation that I need. And really, his spirit really gave me the will to be able to marry a woman that already had children. Being able to marry a woman. A lot of men is looking to marry sisters, but sometimes a sister could be a qualified sister to marry, but some men are scared to marry women with children. And it was the guidance and the love of the minister that gave me the courage to be able to take on the responsibility of marrying a woman that already had 2 children and had went through a divorce. So with that courage and that inspiration, but that was the greatest joy of my life. And then ultimately meeting him, and then being able to go to grad school after being out of school for some years, and being able to graduate grad school with 3 master's degrees and have a GPA of a 3.8 while working 2 jobs, Brother Joshua. You know what I mean? While working, able to get through grad school, because learning comes, for some reason, I've been blessed like that. Learning comes easy to me. And, we had a presentation in closing in grad school, and the professor said, you have to do a presentation on a monumental event that took place in America. I said, well, that's easy. The greatest monumental event that ever took place in America is the Million Man March. So I did a presentation in grad school on the Million Man March, and we pulled up the pledge in the class, and everybody, part of the presentation was everybody had to stand up in the class and say, I, say your name and run through that pledge. And the teacher was so impressed, she gave me an A on the presentation. You know what I mean? All praise is due to Allah, but meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, man, it's mind-blowing. The man that you read about in the book, to ultimately be able to meet him and hug him and let him know that you love him. I'm glad I didn't make the mistake and tell him when he said, I love you too. I'm glad I never said I love you more, because the minister said, ain't no way in hell you could love a man more that's sacrificing his life for you every day. But those are some of the greatest joys I had being in this walk.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. And that's, man, you don't understand how much you inspired me, specifically with your talk about working and going to school. Trust me, I understand, sir. And to see you do it and be an example for us and so many women and men, but specifically Black men, to see you accomplish this is amazing. And Sister Kareem is in the comments saying, exercise, force, and power. Those were the best times. And she's learning so much. Praise be to Allah for your podcast. Thank you very much, ma'am. All praise be to Allah. All right. My question for you is, let's go back to the marrying the sister with children. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. We froze for a minute.
Okay, yes, sir. Oh, dang. I said, yes, sir. How did you know she was the one?
Well, that's a great question. I was looking for somebody, Brother Joshua, that was similar to what my walk. I knew I wanted to, work with children. She loves children and is a great teacher. She's not like me, is vocal and always talking to people. I just, my sisters laugh. They say, you like the mayor. Because my biological sisters don't like to go nowhere with me, because she said every time we go somewhere, you got to stop and talk. My sisters, they very, they say hi, but when people see me, they want to hug me and talk to me. And I'm just a people person. But I'm, always outspoken. My wife a little bit more quiet and reserved. We a lot opposite. But one thing that's beautiful about her is she wants to be a teacher. She loves education. And I'm telling you, I watched this woman teach at the Muhammad Muhammad Islamic Academy in Philadelphia, and
Mm.
she deal with the babies. And I tell you, I commend her all the time about it. She really has a knack for educating children, like young babies. Like she just knows how to deal with them and get the best out of them. So that was attractive. And then I knew, me being crazy as hell, somebody being able to deal with me had to have been able to been through some adversity. And her being in the mosque, leaving that mosque at one time and then coming back to the mosque, and dealing with that adversity. Her father raised all of their children in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as a single parent. He raised 6 children on his own, so the compatibility, and then I like to laugh and be silly, you know what I mean? So, serious. And I had to learn that, Minister Nori was teaching on that today. You can still be a soldier and smile. You know what I mean? You can still be a soldier and crack jokes. So a lot of times I like to bust and have fun. And, like he was saying today, marriage shouldn't be provider, maintainer, protector, you consoler, nurturer, cook. And we walk around like these robots. I'm maintain, and provide. No, it got to be loose. We got to have some balance. And he said something that was so key today in understanding how to love a Black woman, how to understand how to love a Black man, that not only you got to love the person, you got to like the person that you with. Y'all got to be friends. And over the 20 years that I've been married, I can honestly say that me and my wife, I've learned not only to love her better, but to like her better and understand and be her friend, and to learn how to be a better listener. And she's taught me that. I'm getting better at it, but sometimes as men, we don't listen very well. And that's because, yes, and Brother Minister Nori was teaching on it, it ain't that we trying to be rude, but a man is a thinker. So we think our way through problems. Women, the way they solve problems is they want to talk. And sometimes it's not that we're not listening, that as a man, we trying to figure it out in our own mind. Okay, how am I gonna deal with this? Okay, I got it. You know what I mean? And if you want to talk right now, I'm not dissing you that I don't want to talk. I'm trying to go through the mathematical equation in my head of how I'm going to solve the problem for not only me, but my family. So, a brother introduced us and we went through the courtship process, and it took kind of long because she was already previously married and we was waiting for the divorce papers. But when the divorce papers came, I knew, and I thank Allah for my beloved Captain Gregory, because I was a young man and he kept asking me. He said, man, we got to get you married. He kept saying it. I'm like, damn, why the captain keep telling me to get married? But he knew a man come from college, 2-sport athlete, you know what I mean, look halfway decent. He know you work, the women be on you. And he said he didn't want to see me get caught up in nothing. So he kept saying, get married, get married. And after a while, when he kept saying it, I would go home and ask myself, like, damn, why you not married? And then after a while, I saw the sister, and by Allah's grace, we've been married for 20 years. 20 years of storm and struggle, but it's been a great, great struggle, man. I thank Allah for my wife and what she does. So hopefully she gonna finish up her degree and she could be a teacher. But I had to have somebody that love education. Even the work that I do, Brother Joshua, I go out in the community, I get the venue, either my mother or my wife make the food. So we teach the teachings and then we feed the people. She right there with me. We giving out platters. Last year she was with me after I came off the sabbatical. I ordered 50 platters, and me and my wife went in the area in the city on so-called Thanksgiving and gave away 50 platters. So that's the kind of work that I do, because I believe in being charitable, and I believe you get blessed for that, because when you bless, I believe our job is to be a blessing to others. And you should have that kind of spirit, because you never know, you giving a person a meal one day, they may be thinking about killing you, but they may remember that you fed them when they didn't have no food, or they may see harm or danger coming your way and they may reach in there and grab you out based on something that you've done with them. So I always try to be charitable and give to the less fortunate, because a lot of times we 1 or 2 circumstances away from being just like that individual.
It's a fact. All praises to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. And people in the comments are showing you love, sir.
Love.
Brother Chris Muhammad says, yes, sir. My sister Miriam says she can relate to your sisters but not want to go in public with you because she's saying that people always talk to me, so she understands. Yes, beautiful. Yes, sir. What if you could choose? Speaking of Biz Markie and different artists, but what could your favorite? If you could choose one album to say is your favorite album of all time, what would you choose?
Wow. I'm gonna go on a limb, and this probably ain't the. I'm gonna go with Wu-Tang 36 Chambers of Death, man.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the era I grew up in, and you know what I mean. They got a lot of the teachings in that. But there's so many Nas albums. I'm a big Nas fan. You know, Jay Electronica is my brother. He was in my wedding. You know what I mean? So you know, he one of my better artists too. But I like that 36 Chambers, man. You know what I mean? Protect your neck. And you know what I mean? Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, you know what I mean? So
dollar bills, y'all. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I like that album because it got a lot of the conscious 5% teaching in it. And you know, I like that kind of era. You know, we don't have a lot of that today. And I don't, you know, Meek Mills in Philadelphia is a great rapper. He's using this platform, and I'm proud of Meek, man, because you know, he come up hard knock life in Philadelphia, but he using his platform to speak about prison reform. And he does a lot of great things in the community, giving back to the community. You know, around Christmas time, he rents out a school, and man, he give, man, anywhere from 30,000. Man, he give, you know, they give out gifts for hours. And, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of stuff that he does that people don't see. But I'm gonna go with that 36 Chambers of Death. Maybe when I get off the podcast, I say, damn, I forgot another album, but that's one of my albums. And I'll say Lauryn Hill too, when the Fuji album she had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with both of those. Both of those are great and classic albums for sure. All right. And thank you everybody who continues to watch, like, share, and subscribe to People's Podcast. The question that we would like to know, sir, is what would you like your legacy to be?
Wow. Well, I think I would want my legacy to be a legacy of service. For people to know that not only was Brother Lamond a student athlete and was great in sports, but he had character, and he fought for the liberation of his people and the salvation for his people. And I just didn't stay in the house. I was willing to go in the muck and mire of civilization to go after our people. So just to know that we picked up that servant leadership spirit from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I believe wholeheartedly it's better to give than to receive. Not that you shouldn't receive things, but it's better to give. And I get more of a fulfillment. You know, sometimes my wife be asking me, and I don't know what it is, Brother Joshua, wherever I'm at in the city, somebody runs up to me, you got $1, you got $2. I don't know if I got some type of sign on my head or whatever, but my wife be like, why you be pulling your wallet out? I said, babe, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. But at the same token, when people come to me and ask me, I try to be of a charitable spirit, because the humility in knowing that you bless, the humility in knowing that you are one circumstance from being like that. See, when I wasn't working for 2 years, even though I was collecting unemployment, that ain't what I'm used to doing. So that was a very uncomfortable situation. You know what I mean? Renting a home. Most of my unemployment money had to go to the rent being $850. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's an uncomfortable situation. And that's why I go so hard, because the way I felt, and still trying to find a way to create myself, my own business where I could work for myself. And, you know, and the wife wanted one day probably open up a daycare, so do some things with her. But, you know, that's my legacy, a servant leadership legacy, and letting people know that, you know, I was willing to sacrifice to teach your children, because the education profession, it ain't a whole lot of money. The education profession is a sacrifice that has an intrinsic and an extrinsic value. And sometimes you don't know the kind of effect that you're having on children until 5 to 10 years down the line. One day we was at the movies. I was at the movies with my wife, and 4 students was in line that I didn't even realize. And one of the girls said, Mr. Muhammad, that's you. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you don't remember me? And she started going on this tangent of how she used to give me hell. And she was bad as hell in school. But when she seen me in the movies, she made it her business to acknowledge me and give me a hug. And, you know, so that's it. You know, right now, even in my school I'm in right now, when I walk through the hallway, I got about 10 babies that run up and hug me every morning, and they want to walk the halls with me. So I want my legacy to be known as a legacy of love, going after our children, because I really truly believe, Brother Joshua, that our children, if they're placed in the right environment, based on unconditional love, they can accomplish what all the other ethnic groups of children accomplish. But unfortunately, a lot of our children in the hood get the worst teachers, or the neophyte teachers. A lot of the suburbs get the best teachers. But those schools that's in the hood, they get a lot of first-year teachers, and they get a lot of teachers that really don't want to teach or have came out of the corporate world and now want to teach. So they get a lot of inexperienced teachers and first-year teachers, and a lot of those teachers, unfortunately, don't have no love for our children, and our children can sense it. So that's a legacy of servant leadership and just staying in education, Brother Joshua, because we don't have no black men. And I used to be on my soapbox all the time. Where the black men at? Why ain't no black men in education? But I've lived long enough to see why. Because they really don't want no alpha males in education. They feminizing the hell out of our men. And a lot of the white women and some of the black sisters that don't know themselves are rather an effeminized man being in school than an alpha male being in the school.
Yes, sir. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, sir.
Oh, no, I thought it froze. I was like, okay. Yes, sir. Oh, no, you teaching now. Now you scaring me at the same time because I'm about to graduate. So I was like, hold up now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's real. But you know, and you have the spirit and the work that you do. When you in this work, you know how to navigate around landmines. And
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I've learned how to navigate around that stuff. You see it, the racism, you see it, and the sometimes you got a lot of people in the schools that's part of the LGBTQIA community, and they're in our schools trying to subtly teach our children gender roles and all kind of stuff. But I've learned that if we wasn't there, they would have an open, free reign. So now that I'm there, I know my purpose and I can speak to things and help to try to nullify and then awaken the parents like, look, this ain't right. Because ultimately I'm about policy and procedure, but by having the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you can educate our children and educate our parents. Would I want us to have our own school? Absolutely. But unfortunately in this city, we don't have our own school. So what I'm supposed to do, sit at home and wait for a mystery God and not take care of my family, waiting for us to open the school? No, we should open the school. But until then, I gotta go after the dead and make the bread. I can't sit around and wait for no mystery God, because ultimately nobody is going to take care of me and my family. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the first law of nature is self-preservation. And one of the other things I've learned, Brother Joshua, and I got into this, I really didn't want to get into it, but I do a lot of janazas. I do a lot of funerals. I do a lot of shroudings. I washed a couple believers' bodies. And I got into it because for a long time, we was running over to the other community. Oh, they the only ones that knew. I said in my mind, no, we got supreme wisdom. If we could learn how to do that. So I forced myself, Brother Joshua. I didn't want to be no mortician to learn how to wrap no dead body and wash no dead body, but being an FOI, getting taught to have a mind of a conqueror, to meet and overcome all obstacles in our path. I said, man, I want to learn that so I could be a benefit to my community. So now when somebody pass away, we part of that team. So sometimes the captain may call me, can you help? Yeah, I don't let a couple of them. And to be honest with you, one year we was at the funeral parlor so much, the lady said, damn, Brother Lamond, you back again? And she was like, you be here so much, you could run, you could show somebody. We done so many of them, but I'm grateful of it because Ain't nobody teach me. I had the spirit to learn it, and now I'm comfortable with learning it because it's a reality that we all one day gonna have to face. And knowing that, that's the last thing somebody should have to worry about when somebody transition, is who's going to prepare the body and who's going to do the service. So I've done a couple of janazas and shroudings, and you know, the first one was kind of, I was like, damn, I don't know what I got myself into, but I challenged my fear. And once you get through it, and once you do it a couple of times, you learn to feel comfortable because you realize that the person that's laying there is no longer there. But also when doing it, it's a deeper feeling when it's somebody laying on it that you have a connection to. And you know what I mean? So washing, but it's the science of brotherhood, because the person that has transitioned can no longer perform voodoo on their own. They can no longer wash themselves. So we're doing for our brother or for our sister what they can no longer do for themselves. And it's also a signal when you're doing it that whatever didn't get done, if you laying on there, it ain't gonna get done. It's finished. You know what I mean? But the same token, it's a great honor in Islam to be able to do something, do for your brother and sister what they're unable to do for themselves because they have returned back to Allah. So that's one of the other things I do, the janazas and the shroudings. And, you know, I don't believe that there ain't nothing we can't do, except for why that we put our mind to it. I really believe that. And the minister had proven that to us in his whole life. He had proved to us without a shadow of a doubt that there's nothing more powerful in the universe than a made-up mind. And if you and I make our mind up, there's nothing in this universe that we can't conquer.
These are facts. You're teaching, bro, minister. Yes, sir. And people in the comments are bearing witness. Okay, yes, sir. And on that positive note, I want to thank you once again and your family for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, man. Allah bless you and your beautiful family. Love you, soldier. Stay strong.
I love you more, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching.